One of my favorite things from last year is making shrubs, which is just vinaigrette. My favorite is like peach vinaigrette, and you get some bubbly sparkling water or like a seltzer. Just do like a tablespoon of peach vinaigrette. I've also done like blueberry vinaigrette or like pomegranate. Voila, that's it. It is so good. Highly recommend. That's my little commercial break for you all. Happy spring, friends! It is officially spring. I am a spring lady for sure, through and through. I love spring. Fun fact, if you didn't know, I was actually born on Easter Sunday, so it's kind of, you know, it's kind of in my blood. It was officially the spring equinox, and Mother Nature came out for it. I'm so grateful. It hit 71 degrees here. I sat outside. I went for a really long walk. It was so incredibly delightful, and that is when I started The Friendly Young Ladies. I am currently 38 pages through. All I want to do is sit and read this book. I just love continuously being surprised by new books that I haven't heard of, books that I randomly pick up, authors that I haven't read from before. I feel filled with this like childlike wonder and awe, truly, when I read a new writing style that I've just never read before, and beautiful thoughts formed in these gorgeous, delicate sentence structures that I never would have created myself. It's just, it never gets old. I love reading so incredibly much. Like, I just can't explain how wonderful it is to just read. I just need to say that. This is a booktube channel. I think we all feel the same way about books, but there's something about just opening a new book and just being so surprised by what you find inside. It is such a delicious feeling. So let me tell you the plot, okay? We are following our main protagonist, Elsie. She is 17 and a half years old. This book was published in 1944. I'm not exactly sure when this takes place, but I'm gonna assume it's around that time period, and it takes place in Cornwall, England, which I think is one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth, at least that I've ever visited. Elsie lives there with her mom and dad. Her parents, no bueno. They're not in love with each other. We would now probably classify it as a toxic relationship. They fight all the time. They bicker all the time. They put Elsie in the middle of their arguments. Right from the jump, the opening 2 or 3 pages is Elsie being caught in the crosshairs of her parents' marital spat. And it's just clear that her parents don't really even like each other, but they're still together. You know, this time period, getting a divorce was very taboo. We find out very early on, because it is also in the plot description, that Elsie has an older sister that actually ran away from home 9 years prior. So Elsie was only 9 years old when that happened. But we get this beautiful description of how Elsie remembers her from childhood. Her older sister, Leonara, always preferred wearing suits over dresses, wanted pocket knives and more quote-unquote masculine things for birthdays and Christmases as opposed to like dolls. So we're already getting a glimmer of not necessarily Leonara's personality, but just at least her interest through these tiny relics that Elsie remembers her through in this childlike lens. Elsie has not really thought about Leonora. Her parents don't even mention Leonora. It's kind of like this shunned, taboo secret. Don't mention the older sister. And Elsie doesn't even know where she went to. But Elsie is at a really uncomfortable stage in life. This is that like awkward adolescence. She's very sheltered. She's very airy and imaginative. She's a bookworm. She just wants to be left alone to read, and she loses herself in the fantasy of books. She just wants to be outside. She daydreams a lot, and she's just a really wonderful, adorable character to read from. I mean, this is a book that I'm sure is going to have an exploration on identity, this Bildungsroman of gaining character traits and growing up, going into adulthood. She ends up catching a flu or pneumonia or something, and the family doctor is out, so a new doctor in town is sent over to her, and he is a character. Oh my gosh. Bravo for authors who can write characters that I just immediately don't like, and they're not even doing anything blatantly awful, but I'm just like, oh god, this is just such an unctuous character. He is, gosh, what's his name? Peter. He's 28 years old, and he has such a martyr complex. He is holier than thou. He's like debating if he should flirt with this 17-and-a-half-year-old while he's taking care of her while she's ill. So she's starting to develop this crush on him, which is weird for her because she's never had that feeling before. She's also never really had the feeling that someone's taken care of her. She's always had to live walking on eggshells around her parents. So all of a sudden there's someone who's taking an interest in her physically to make sure her well-being is taken care of, and she's healing from this sickness, but also he's wondering like, what's happened to you in your life, baby girl? Like, tell me all your woes, let me fix you. Ooh, I am so nervous where this is going to go, because I have read several pieces from this time period, the 1940s, even the 1920s, all the way up to like the 1980s, where this is seen as like the epitome of a knight in shining armor. But I'm like, this guy thinks so highly of himself, and the way this author writes this character, where he is just pontificating a letter to his lover and like over explaining and psychoanalyzing others, and he's like gazing off into the distance about, no one understands me either, I understand, but you would trust me, wouldn't you? Like, so these feel like flesh and blood characters. These are three-dimensional characters. It is incredible how not even 40 pages in, I have such a vivid grasp on who these people are, what their motives are, what their fears are, what their dreams and their hopes are. And the writing style is so freaking eloquent. It's so beautiful. I'm loving it. I absolutely love it. Essentially where we're at right now, Peter has convinced Elsie to go find her sister. He was like, you can't listen to anyone in your life, especially your parents. Like, you need to find these answers for yourself. So like, he's inspiring her, but also it's because he thinks he's like, he absolutely has like a martyr complex, and he's wanting to give like the best advice, and he's bored being like a tiny town country doctor. So he's kind of stirring the pot, essentially. Really, really incredibly well done with how skeezy he feels, but how easily I can see why an emotionally neglected child would be like, oh my God, he's paying attention to me. That is where I'm at there. Yesterday I went to the first day of the Vintage Festival, and it was so packed. There was a line that snaked all the way through the lobby to get in, and it was very overwhelming, unfortunately. Everyone's just everywhere, and it was just so much to look at. So I didn't really look at anything, but today it is Sunday, and we're gonna go to the Marche de Non Rouge, which is the Red Devil Parade. Very, very excited. I'm gonna bring my little film camera there with me and see what that's all about. I'm very excited. Take you all along with me, and then after the parade, we're gonna meet up with some friends at the Vintage Expo. So that's the plan, and then later today will be Sunday chores, cleaning, Winston needs a bath, laundry, all that fun stuff, and then hopefully I can actually just sit and read this. out some of my like springy books. This top shelf is driving me bananas. I am running out of like taller candlesticks or busts. I truly don't know, but I have this beautiful little painting. I thought the like pastels might go really well together. I still feel like something needs to go up here. I wish I had bookends. I could just have them upright. These are some classics that I really like. So let's see, I think maybe keeping it more simple up here would be good. I still feel like this needs like a little pop of color. Oh, I know. Okay, I have three choices. One is this little like strawberry cat that my sister got me a while ago. Shut up. That is so cute. Is that it? Oh my gosh, I have some carnations and baby's breath that are starting to wilt. I think adding it up here could be the move. Oh yeah. Oh, I stepped on a candlestick. Oh my gosh, yes. And then I'm gonna remove this. I got this last summer. It's very beautiful, but I might add something that might fit this a little bit better. So cute. It's very cold and very gloomy, and so it's perfect for curling up for the rest of the night with a good book. Marche de Non Rouge was absolutely incredible. I can't even describe how many people were out today. There were beautiful paper mache masks, people on stilts. There were people dressed up as jesters and clowns and devils and Victorian corsets and drapery and veils and drag queens, and it was absolutely incredible. It was so much fun. Anyone could walk in this parade, which was absolutely amazing. And then we went to the Vintage Fest for the last day, and I just wanted to share a quick little haul with you all. I had a very strict budget for myself. I did very well. I did not get much, but the first thing I found, oh my gosh, this is so precious. What's this tank top? It's so cold out now. My heat just kicked on. I'm so sorry, friends. This is like so breezy and thin, and it's so colorful and cute. Oh my gosh, I can just imagine like wearing this with a skirt and some sandals and going to the farmer's market. And I found, oh my goodness, I found this little lamb who's in bed with some flowers. It's this beautiful painting. It's adorable. So got that. And then at that same booth, I found these gorgeous earrings. They are pearls that look like grapes. And then these to me look like little seashell, like scallops. I know they're not, but oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. I've been wanting more dangly earrings lately too, and I will be attending a few weddings coming up soon. So I feel like this would be very elegant if I had like my hair up and some nice pearl grape earrings. I think these are so pretty. These are so cute. And I wasn't intentionally looking for earrings, but then I found this gorgeous pair. These are definitely from the 80s. Oh my goodness, I love these. These are quite heavy duty. Oh, these are just so pretty. They just really remind me of my grandma. Okay, and then lastly, my friends, like I said, this was a very small haul. This is my favorite thing. I found for $4 this vintage from May 1917 ad for palm olive soap. And it has Cleopatra. This is so beautiful. So it has a whole blurb about Cleopatra's vision. I actually learned a lot about palm olive soap and soap in general. And maybe like a year ago, I got really into soap. I love bars of soap so much. So fascinating how it's made. I love this, can't wait to get it framed. I have to figure out its dimensions. But yeah, that's my little haul. My social battery is very low. I feel very tired. Time to be quiet and just like read. I think that sounds absolutely incredible. Yo, I am currently over 100 pages into The Friendly Young Ladies. My insomnia has been really bad. I have not been feeling very well because of the insomnia. It's one of those awful spirals of the anxiety is causing my insomnia, and then I am sleep deprived because of the insomnia, which is causing anxiety. So I've been in this loop, and it hasn't been very fun. Trying to do little things that will help. Going to the gym, going for walks, a little after 6 p.m. now, and I did go to the hardware store today, and I wanted to do my little like grandma hardware haul because I've been thinking about these two things for a while now. These two things combined only cost $7, but I've been really wanting and craving and imagining what my life would be like if I had an outdoor thermometer. I never thought I would ever want something like this, and where I'd be so excited to have one, but I have an outdoor thermometer and I can stick it on my window and I can see what the temperature is, so I don't have to touch my phone. I'm so excited. This was $4. The other thing that I finally got, my grandma hardware haul for y'all, is a nice little sewing kit. I don't know where mine went. I think I lost it in my move, and I have many things. I have a lot of things I need to mend, but I just thought this was so cute. I'm very excited. One of my stuffed animals has like a giant hole in it, so I'm gonna stitch that up. And it is a pink stuffy, so thankfully this did come with some pink thread. I can fix that. The inner lining of some of my jacket pockets are completely ripped, so I'm excited to fix that so that way I can actually carry my keys around without them just sliding right out of my entire coat. So that's that. I am absolutely loving The Friendly Young Ladies. That is like the one thing right now that feels like a dessert. It feels like a treat to read it. I'm truly having such an incredible time. So there's still quite a few things I would like to get done today. I have a roll of film that I just got back that I want to scan. It's all from my Las Vegas trip, so I'm very excited for that. And then hopefully do some reading with The Friendly Young Ladies because I'm loving that. And then this weekend, Saturday through Monday, I'm actually going back to Columbus. It's gonna be kind of a solo trip just because the person I'm going to Columbus with is gonna be working the whole time. And I was like, well, if you already have a hotel and the hotel has a pool, I might as well just come along. I would love to prioritize reading and maybe take you all with me to some bookshops or thrifting. Well, hi, I am in Columbus again. It is Saturday evening around 8:30. My goal was to finish Friendly Young Ladies before I got here, but alas, that has not happened. But I'm totally fine with that because I'm enjoying this so incredibly much. I love it. Every time I pick it up, I'm just really, really happy. So I thought I needed to give you all an update. I am now 189 pages in. I'm also trying to kill some time right now and hope that some kiddos go to bed so I can go to the pool. It doesn't close until 10. Here's hoping because I really want to go swimming. Anyway, the Friendly Young Ladies, exquisite. I absolutely love this. So much has happened, but also so little has happened. This is just so real life. It's just so realistic. It's very ambiguous. Similarly to my last vlog, a lot of things are left to the imagination. Everything is really inferred. Everything is just hidden between the lines. Our protagonist Elsie decides to run away from home and she finds her sister Leonora, which is a wonderful scene when they are reunited for the first time in 9 years. It's such an interesting encounter because Elsie really has to cope with the fact that her sister is exactly the same like from childhood and has not settled down with a man. All of these kind of fantasies that Elsie imagined Leo being are just not true. Leo is still a tomboy, dresses in suits, and she lives with a woman. And Elsie is young and she's a very naive and gullible character in general. And so she doesn't think anything of it. She's just like, oh, they're just girlfriends, like they're just roommates. It's more than that, but also our author and our narrator doesn't really tell us anymore. We're just kind of picking up on clues and vibes and context in order to surmise that these are indeed lesbian lovers and this is a sapphic relationship. But there's also a lot of bisexual energy as well because then they host a party, they're flirting with one of their neighbors. It's kind of like an open relationship, but again, none of this is actually communicated to us and it's definitely not being communicated between them. And if it is, it's all through like nudge, nudge, wink, wink, which is something just I feel of the time period. It was just nothing is handed to you. It's just a lot of inferring and hypothesizing and kind of being like, oh, okay, I got you. So Elsie is now living on this houseboat on the River Thames with her sister Leonora, goes by Leo, and Leo's girlfriend, Helen. We'll get sections where we're getting a little bit more of Elsie's perspective and how she's judging everyone in the situation she's currently in. And then we'll also get sections of Helen and Leo just being together and seeing their interaction with each other as just a couple and them talking about Elsie and how she's really naive and how she doesn't help around the house, like she doesn't pull her weight, she just lives in this la la land, and Leo kind of caters to it because she does just immediately go back to the role of big sister, of looking out for her sister and wanting to protect her and shield her and want to do everything for her and also give her the best. So they immediately and automatically resume these roles. Elsie is still head over heels for Peter, the unctuous doctor. She writes him a letter saying, hey, my sister and I thank you for persuading me to come here. You're invited to come. And he does. And now things are happening. Things are getting shaken up. We're getting wonderful dialogue between Helen and Leo where they're like, oh my God, this guy is awful. Like there's absolutely no way Elsie can like a guy like this. But again, some of it, I feel like I don't fully understand their real feelings because then all of a sudden they're kind of all flirting with him and then other things happen and I'm like, do you like him? Do you not? But the way they described him, because the previous passages where we read about Peter, it was from the perspective of Elsie, who immediately kind of idolizes him. And that's exactly what he wants. He wants to be revered and idolized and thought about and pined after. Like that is kind of his personality and his intention. But so now reading about him from the perspective of these older women who are, you know, in their late 20s, they can see right through him. They're just like, oh gosh. There was a line in here, I'm not going to be able to quote it directly, but it was saying how no matter who Peter's talking to, it's like he is in love with you. Like he just immediately is like, yeah, just you and me, girl, like just you and me. And I'm just like, then things are happening. Male love interests become a thing. So now we're kind of questioning, we're like, oh, okay, there are other relationships happening here. Maybe they're also in an open relationship. Maybe they're poly. Like, again, for the time period, it's just like there are no labels and we're not talking about it and we're not mentioning a single label. There really hasn't been anything talked about with using the actual word like lesbian or sapphic or anything like that. But wow, the dialogue in here is amazing. The descriptions of these very long languid days out on the river. Leo is also an author, which is a really fun thing. I don't want to give too much away, but Elsie is kind of ashamed at the books that Leo writes. And again, it's just so interesting, this time period, and also how fanciful and in her own fantasy world Elsie is, what she thinks adulthood is like versus what it really is. And I think at some point when you're growing up, you kind of realize that like what Elsie is experiencing right now is like being around other adults besides her parents, who, remember, are in a completely dysfunctional relationship with each other. So she's just surprised seeing how Leo and Helen like interact with each other and how it's so sweet. Like everything, it's a culture shock for Elsie. She's like, what do you mean like this is how you live your life and you're not married yet? And like, what do you mean you write these kinds of books? Like she's like, ugh, which I think is a very it's a rite of passage, you know? If you continue to have that mindset, sometimes it is very emotionally immature, and she is a little emotionally immature considering she's like 17 and a half, but like I can't be talking. I was shocked that certain adults lived their lives the way they did, because I just thought once you're married, you become like a grown-up, and I just didn't even know really what that even meant. So I'm sure everyone kind of has a goofy story like that where you realize like, oh, adults, they're just like us. Yeah, I think Elsie also has just a lot of preconceived notions and expectations. Yeah, definitely she's judgmental. She's a little critical because she only really knows what she's read in books, which are very romantic, over the top and grandiose. And it's just delightful. This is so beautiful, so beautifully written. I love the character development and how real and fleshed out these characters feel. I love it. This is like great, fantastic literary fiction, like absolutely divine. And I'm so curious to see where it goes because I feel like it can get really messy. We're on a train that can go right into a messy depot, and I'm kind of excited for it, but I'm also very scared. Let's kick some kids out of the pool. I'm back home to cold Detroit. My trip to Columbus was so lovely. That last little montage bit, I stumbled upon this gorgeous little river, this babbling brook, if you will. It was the most idealistic, gorgeous place, and I sat and I read my book for over an hour, and there were dogs like running in the river and children laughing and splashing and playing, and I was like, am I in heaven? Why is Columbus, Ohio my heaven? Like, I don't understand. I never thought, that was just never on my bingo board of life. I could go walk around with my coffee in the morning in the German village, which is just so picturesque. Y'all, what the heck? And then I come back to hailstorms, rainstorms, very cold, very cold. But now I have my outdoor thermometer to tell me the temperature. So one up on y'all. I finished The Friendly Young Ladies. This was a bummer. This was a bummer book, not in a bad way. This is like a beautiful book, like insanely gorgeous, beautiful, exquisite. What I anticipated being this like dazzling summer houseboat dalliance, just a little bit more, you know, more of a beach read. That ending was so brutal. It was so emotionally distressing, and kind of how I called it in my last little update, that like, ooh, shit could get really messy here. It got more than messy. Oh, it's so depressing. This book has honestly been haunting me. The past few days, I keep thinking about this book. I think about how sad it was and like how surprising that was. Like, this is a book, I feel like, in retrospectively talking about it, I feel like this will hopefully stick in my memory as one of the most surprising, out of left field, shocking books that I've read so far this year. I don't want to give anything away, so this is going to be very challenging for me to talk about and to articulate it. But what I can tell you is that there is an afterword in here from Mary Renault, the author, 40 years after this was published, reflecting on the ending that she gave these characters and how she actually regrets not giving them a happier ending. And that is because this book is actually quite autobiographical. It is reminiscing, because after the afterword is an afterword by Lillian Faderman, which was written in 2003. And I need to move this. My shoulder keeps hitting the table. Hang on. There we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. This novel is autobiographical to Mary's life. She's kind of like Leo, the character Leo in here, where she abandoned her younger sister, or felt guilty, felt like she did abandon her younger sister in pursuit of a queer relationship, a sapphic relationship with a woman. But at the time, like, they were very open. They weren't in a monogamous relationship, and they were also bisexual, and they just explored relationships together. Eventually, though, they did move to South Africa together and became a monogamous couple and dedicated themselves to their relationship. So beautiful that 40 years after writing this, Mary was like, I messed up, y'all. Like, I wish I gave these characters a better ending. One of the most incredible things about this book, though, is that it's so vague, and it's so intentionally vague, and I needed the afterword. I needed both of the afterwards after reading this one, because I was truly so confused. I would start thinking in this certain way, like, okay, I understand what these characters are thinking and feeling, and then they go and do something so dichotomous to what I just believed their character or moral compass to even be. They would just go against it and do something completely different. And so I was left totally baffled and confused, and like, why did you just do that? But that is also the fickle nature of the human experience, is like, not really, there's no black and white. It's just this gray, amorphous blob of existence. It's just people communicating with each other and existing and making decisions that don't make sense. Like, they kind of act as if they're never going to have consequences. They also act like it would be the worst thing in the world to be vulnerable or to open up. A lot of these things just felt so introspective and sheltered and almost like there's this invisible wall and like a line in the sand that we could not cross with getting to know these characters. And they were like dancing and skirting around these certain subjects. And it was so beautifully written that it felt incredibly intentional. And in the afterword, it is explained that Mary, when posed with the question, like, you wrote this book in 1944, like, did you write this convoluted, vague style because of the times, because it was taboo, even dangerous maybe, to write about queer, sapphic, bi, open, poly relationships? And she just straight up in her afterword in 1984 basically says, F off, I would have written this today if I wanted to. So Mary Renault as an author, I love her ideology that, like, if you want to read my book, like, you're gonna have to put in half the work to try and decode it. You're gonna have to figure out like what these characters, like who they are. You have to put in the effort. This is not like a turn your brain off and just sit back and enjoy these beautiful relationships on a houseboat where they are swimming in the mornings and writing novels and exploring relationships in London. That's what I thought it was. It was not. I don't know if I ever shared this on this channel before, but my mom used to have a houseboat. So I loved being on that boat, and I would just spend summer days there, and I would just sit on the roof and I would read my book. I remember specifically a vivid memory. I was reading The Hermit by Eugene Ionesco and eating out of a colander of blueberries. And then her neighbor came by on his little paddleboard and he was like, come on down, I'll show you how to paddleboard. And I went down and learned how to paddleboard in the marina. And that is what I thought this book was going to be. And it was at the start. So if that vibe sounds like very idealistic and summery, and then you want it to turn into a summertime sadness, deep despair, and like confusion over your own identity and connections with others and relationships, to summarize it, I have to share this final little line from our beautiful author, Mary Renault. This was truly one of the most hilarious, iconic lines I feel like I've read in a long time. I'm gonna read this little paragraph because it's reiterating what I just said, but in Mary's words. I have sometimes been asked whether I would have written this book more explicitly in a more permissive decade. No, I have always been as explicit as I wanted to be, and have not been much more so in recent books. If characters have come to life, one should know how they will make love. If not, it doesn't matter. Inch by inch physical descriptions are the ketchup of the literary cuisine, only required by the insipid dish or by the diner without a palate. Say it louder, why don't you? Like, stop screaming. Oh my god, that's insane. That is an insane line. Yo, that is insane, and I love it. That was a mic drop, Mary. Miss Mary mic drop. Jeez Louise. Yeah, so good. Loved this. That is that, my friends. I'm gonna wrap up the vlog here. Thank you for coming along with me. This like first little vlog of spring, like officially spring. I'm so excited it's spring. Thank you so incredibly much for being here. If you want to leave a comment but you're not sure what to say, let us know what your favorite queer fiction book is or author. I would love to know. I think that would be really cool for people to get some recommendations down below. And if you don't want to be perceived in that way, I completely understand. Let's do some emojis based on that like summery houseboat vibe. So for me, I would put like a little wave emoji and a seashell, maybe a little sun. I know we just got into spring, but let's get excited for summer, put some summer emojis. Thank you so incredibly much for being here, friends. I truly, truly appreciate you so much. I hope you're doing really well, and I can't wait to see you all again very soon for my next video. Until then, stay cozy, my friends. Bye!